This is the wallpaper from inside of this particular house. We've made it here. The work's been created here for this place.
It's a project I did with my brother and my father, Nathan and Jim, called The Best Laid Plans.
Art Gallery Greater Victoria has a new exhibition called It's in the Making. It's a group exhibition, and the artists that we've brought in to participate in this project all have connections to the West Coast.
It's not so much about finishing the task, it's about the work that happens as the task is being done. So you give yourself something to do and then you just do it, and that's the project. So that's why it doesn't look like it's finished so much as it's something that's happening, and that's what's important.
Their familiarity and intimate knowledge of materials allows them to create things that are very innovative and playful and contemplative, and really create an interesting experience for the viewer.
It's about work. So the work that we do, our projects that we do, revolve around the idea of, I guess, the act of making, rather than so much the thing that's made.
It's in the making, referring to this sort of ongoing practice and process of making work. We were really interested in material practices and how artists were working with materials in maybe unfamiliar ways.
We've kind of riffed off that idea of a construction site that has in and of itself become a bit of a compound. So there's stacks of lumber, there's things all around it, and you can work your way, weave your way in through the stacks of lumber, underneath the stacks of lumber and material to discover new built environments.
It plays with our expectations of space and how you might move through space, and also interferes with how we might move through space. So they've intentionally interrupted some of the flow of how people typically move through the gallery space.
The totem pole that you see here is not something that I carved. It's something that was carved in Indonesia for curio trade. So there's a cultural economy happening, and in a sense that is me reappropriating it back into contemporary Indigenous art. Oftentimes you'll see society romanticize the idyllic authenticity of an object based on whether or not an Indigenous person's hands created it.
It's a really interesting way to turn that colonial gaze back onto us, to consider how we are understanding and thinking about other cultures.
It's that colonial inability to see these communities and these cultures, which is often actively done. So it's an active form of that. And if you look closely at this piece, you'll see the shadow that's cast too, which almost looks like a human shadow from the lighting of it, which is, I would say, represents us and our communities.
Shelley Penfold works en plein air, as you would say. So she strings up her canvases in amongst the trees and paints in amongst the trees. So it's really interesting to see some of her process.
In a lot of ways, what we see here gives us a sense of what they might have been working through. We're familiar with what acrylic paint can do, but when we see Angela Tang's crocheted paintings, all of a sudden we understand paint in a whole new way. So they take us on this journey with the end result, even if we don't get to experience that process.
Jess Wheeler-Wheaton is the other artist who works as a painter but also making collage, and she works with found images. So she's sort of creating these spaces and windows that draw you into another world.
Hopefully what it does is cause you to look at the other things around you in a different way. So construction's not just construction, there's a whole bunch of things going on behind it. There's a whole social and economic order embedded in the spaces that we live in.
The active amnesia and inability to recognize our communities and our Indigenous cultures, and you see that happening right now in the US and Standing Rock with everything that's going on. You see it happening when Hollywood wants our images or our stereotypes, but they don't want to deal with our communities.
Practice of art making is a process of experimentation, failure, struggle, excitement, discovery, and it's this whole roller coaster of experiences and understandings that shift and evolve. And when we spend time with something, we gather a new understanding of it.